Hi all, welcome to another chess24 Banter Blitz. It's approaching 11:30 UK time. I just want to quickly show you the premium 15% off voucher code Kingscrusher. Let me mute over there. So if you use this voucher code, you get 15% off, and basically you can challenge me or any other streamers. You just basically log in and like 20 to 30 minutes before, send off a challenge to them, and we get this challenge list and we can just work our way through that. So that's a really great system here for pending challenges. And on that note, let's take the first challenge this morning. So morning to the mechanic. I'm going to click accept. Okay, and I think I'll try E3. I've been switching between E3 and B3 recently, gaining a bit of experience in this territory, which is a bit unusual, I know. Okay, so here it looks pretty modest setup by me, but what I'm aiming for here is a clamp on the E5 square. So this is quite positional at the moment. Just want to clamp that E5. Pardon me. Clamp the E5 square. So the bishop's not too bad. It's eyeing that E5 square. Now maybe knight E5. If we have the exchange of bishops, let's say takes, knight FD7, F4. The problem with this, I'm weakening C5. But there might be some upsides, so I think I'll go for this. I'm thinking F4, okay, knight C5. There might be E4 push later. With well, I'm putting pressure on C6 here now because of that B5. Let me see, knight takes, D takes, knight D7, F4. Intriguing. Now maybe F4 gives the option actually of F takes now on knight takes E5. So knight takes E5, F takes. I think there's also the possibility maybe of C4 here. What does it do? I'm thinking, what does it do? A bit cynical about C4. With A3 at least, I think B4, A4, it's an extra option to play A3, or A4, B4. It's a reactive option there now. But how do I build my pressure here? I'm going to get the king off this diagonal. Sometimes it's sensitive. With the F-pawn push, it's more sensitive than usual. If castling, rook a e1 maybe. E4 is possible. The d4 pawn is held by the bishop. Rook f3 to h3 also seems plausible. Yes, castling the knight on d7 is held by the knight on f6. So that's putting pressure on my center now, which is a little bit unpleasant. I'm going to play this to try and discourage c4. I mean, maybe c4 is possible, but I'm thinking bc, bishop c3. Okay. Rook f3 looks like a plausible thing. It's a bit caveman-y. a4, b4, b takes. g4 is very caveman-y. But kind of kind of interesting. You know, I'm going to play this. I'm hoping not to regret the weaknesses. I'm thinking, okay, knight takes, d takes, extend the scope with the bishop. Knight d7, I think there's a potential for f5. There's also potential for weakening his diagonal fatally. of course. Because any d4 later, queen b7, this is going to be a really dangerous diagonal. I might be threatening to win a piece with g5 because the knight moves knight takes d7. If knight takes, g takes, and there's two pieces attacked, g5 might be threatening to win a piece, which has been ignored. So now my point is here about winning the piece, this position. The forcing moves are absolutely essential to consider, especially in Blitz. There's not much time to consider anything in Blitz anyway, but they've got to be given high priority. So yeah, that was a forcing move which won the game there, thanks to Mechanic. The commutator. I don't know if I've got a cold or a froggy throat this morning. Sorry about this. Okay, I'm hoping it'll improve. Knight f6. Let's try the knight off. Let's try this. So h3 has been popularized in recent years, but Fischer used to play it back in the 70s with g4, bishop g2. One of the ideas is to amplify, the d5 pressure. Now e5 to me is a bit committal, but actually it's kind of interesting, but scary to weaken d5 like this. But I think a key thing is also to play moves quickly, to accept the trade-offs and maybe sometimes go with them in Blitz. So okay, I'm going to accept there's a d5 trade-off here, but I'm marking some dark squares a bit more aggressively. Okay, I'll rule out bishop g5, which could be the d5 strategy, to pin this knight, to remove a defender of d5. Can I in fact play for d5 under any circumstance? Not yet. Okay, it's interesting. I need to know what my opponent's next move is. He's sealing the hole of d5 for some reason. I thought that was an uncomfortable hole. Bishop takes, pawn takes, knight b4. I suppose he castles, or queen d2 kind of traps the knight. Let's do this, because all I want to do now is get rid of the dark square bishops, like with bishop d8 to b6 later, and then celebrate c5 and other dark squares like f4. c5 and f4, you see. If I can get rid of this bishop later, with the pawn on d5, okay, a5 for b6, yeah, but knight d7, so I can still, I think, maybe that's going to be handy to have b6. I'm going to stop a5, which will put my dark square bishop exchange on hold there if it's via d8 to b6, but it could be via g5. So knight h7, bishop g5 later, just to soften the dark square. So let's say I castle knight h7, bishop g5. Alright, let's go with this. It also releases the f pawn. So bishop g5, I want to weaken him on dark squares. c5 break is not on at the moment. d6 would be destructive with that bishop, unless there's some sort of exchange sack. Let's try bishop g5 here. h7 is attacked, so queen d3, queen c2 to watch out, queen b1 to look at h7. But even if knight f6 and the double pawns, I don't think that's a big deal. So I'll go knight f6. Hitting e4, in fact. If he loses the light square bishop, there might be a vacuum here later. You never know. The double pawns here, I'm not so sure I should be bothered about. I'm also thinking, if I play g6, there's always bishop g6 at the moment. If I wait for knight f5, he's on d6. I could take on e4 and then play g6. I think I'll do that because I want to play king g7, rook h8 to hit h3. I want to stop knight f5 in principle. So let's imagine g6, king g7, rook h8. Alright, now the knight's not hitting d6 immediately. I think I've got the luxury of being able to play this. So king g7, rook h8, just to put a little bit of pressure on white's position there. That's a nice backward pawn, actually, to target. So I just want to play rook h8. The c5 break is under lock and key here. It's almost like a form of restraint on these two pawns. c5 is restrained, h4 is restrained. And I want to intensify the dark square grip. So you can see grip, grip, grip. There's 3 grip points here. Okay, so queen f6. But also I'd like to maneuver the knight to say f4. How would I do that in this structure? I don't have to... Actually, queen f6, there's knight e4, so I can actually start with doubling rooks, I think, without running into a major tempo gainer. I can say play queen e7, maybe even f5 here. Queen e7 to protect d6 seems important, though. I can then consider doubling rooks and playing f5. Okay, f6 might be needed here for a moment because of g5, unfortunately. Okay, he has got a nice knight on e4. However, there might be f5, knight g5, f4, knight e6, queen e6, d takes, f takes, d takes, sorry, e takes d7. Start to calculate this stuff with f4. Doesn't seem to be entirely convincing. Okay. So what would make f5 a little better? Let's have a look at it again. Queen g5, it hits my queen as well. But queen g5, knight g5, fg might be okay. Knight e6 might be okay. Is there anything a little less controversial? He's playing actually for c5 as well. I can treble. I've just realised there's an Alekhine gun possibility with queen f8 to h. He can always play rook h1 though. So okay, I feel under pressure here. I do, because c5 is simultaneous for c5 as well. If I move my king, let's do this waiting move. So I'm waiting on c5, because if I get rid of this knight, if the rook's there, rook h3. Okay, f5 is almost possible again, because now he's blocked this diagonal. f5 is almost possible. But c5 could come in now. f5 is a threat. Immediate threat. Almost. Parried. Okay. Maybe my rooks shouldn't be over here. They should be against c5. It's too late for that. I think I might have to take. I've put the rook here against rook c7. I think I need to bring my other rook over here on the defensive. d5 might be weak. I need the other rook over here. I think my offensive plan over here, I need to come back over here with this rook. It needs to be put on ice. Well, he has to do something about this rook. Queen c6, rook takes. If he hit... okay, let's do this defensively. Rook d8 is also hitting d5 anyway. That is a target, a new target, d5. It seems to have... If we simulate the new pawn structure and the opportunities, that is a new target, which wasn't there before the c5 break. It seems to have exposed that vulnerability. Okay, so I'm going to hit that target with queen d6. Now, yeah. e4 for queen f4. If he took, there's almost rolling pawns. I think I might try this. Alright, so if I played Queen F4 here, there's Queen F3 threatens. There's no Rook C7 still. I'm on C7. He's short on time now as well. Check or Rook D5. I think check is tastier to try and break up the king here. The problem with Rook D5 is Rook C7, which is a little controversial, I would say, to allow Rook on the 7th, even if I can't calculate it, just from a prophylaxis perspective. This is mate, isn't it? Alright, thanks for the game, commentator. There are a lot of problems there. I couldn't attack you on the king side. Okay, well played. And there was a nice thematic break. But sometimes the thematic breaks don't give too much. Sometimes they look good, but they're not as good as you might expect sometimes. Even with seemingly glamorous thematic stuff, you've always got to like check out the downsides, the concrete downsides. So sometimes C5, it might be in principle good, right? But you've got to make the right conditions for it to be as effective as possible to just avoid those downsides. But it was a very nice thematic break with C5 in principle. Definitely available, but maybe wasn't implemented totally optimally. So H5, okay, it's putting me off F5 or King H7 because of Knight G5 now. This is good. It's going to lock down me on I'm going to be a lockdown on F5 now. I have a penalty now. I'm trying to blunt this attack. There's 2 penalties already. He could sacrifice on G5, but only F5 he can grab the E4 square. But on the other hand there, I can get a mobile pawn center with D5 later potentially. So I'm going to go with F5, hoping I don't get blasted. There is a check as well here. And the check actually D5 maybe, and then D4 is going to be winning that bishop. D5, okay. No, bishop B3 keeps the pin actually, but I can play King H8 with the threat of D4 now to win that bishop. The threat wasn't parried. Is the sacrifice good? I'm not sure. I'm going to do this. I think H6, bishop F6. Okay, oh, that's it. That's interesting. Yeah. So what about Knight D6? Is that plausible? H6, bishop F6, Knight D6 looks plausible. I think the problem with this, intuitively, I think he gets rolling pawns potentially. Like with G5 and then H6. So I want to keep the pawn on G5, I think. I'm hitting G4. Potentially that's poison pawn though. You know, maybe knight B4, bishop E4. There's knight A2, check. King B1. There's interesting stuff there with knight C3 check. So I might do that. This seems as though I'm weakening my king if I took on G4 in principle. So let's say he plays bishop E4. It's difficult to establish a battery with bishop and queen at the moment on bishop E4. I could nick this pawn and then maybe put the knight back and then C5, queen A5. But white has moves in the meantime. However, I can't. The bishop and queen are difficult to arrange for an effective battery. So I'm going to go with this slow brew plan. Knight B4, C5, queen A5. It chips a pawn out of the king safety. And probably an important pawn. So c5, queen a5 is not going to be that easy to defend, probably. What I don't get, thankfully, I don't get how white can increase the pressure that easily in this position. If I had taken, say, a pawn on g4, there's going to be opportunities to increase the pressure, with targets. But because these pawns are cementing each other, they're constraining down the power of the pieces, these two pawns. So queen a5, that straitjacket of the pawn structure. If you read Steen's Simple Chess, he talks about the pawn structure as like the fundamental constraint on the pieces. If I take here and then d3, that liberates that bishop here. But let's imagine knight takes and queen a5. I think that's dangerous for the check taking on b2. It looks very, very dangerous now. Michael's thing, Simple Chess, is the only ebook I've got on my phone. It's a really cool one. d3 for queen a1 here looks a very good tactical shot, opening up that bishop. So releasing the shackles of the pawn structure. All right, thanks for the game, Fenneman. Okay, Onam. Okay, on he's ready. Start with knight f6. I'll try b6 against knight f3. Okay. Actually, why couldn't I have just taken on d5? Is there a knight g5? I've been a bit cautious here. Okay. That's a peculiar move. Peculiar. I just feel intuitively that if that bishop's exchanged off, these are potential weaknesses on the light squares. This bishop wasn't in fact doing anything. Okay. Okay, now I've also got the option of putting a knight on c5. I like having a5 and a knight on c5. I remember there was a key British Championship game. had a miserable first week, and I was in tears. This first game I won the week after the Sunday rest, and I remember there's this magnificent knight on c5, and it gave me hope during the game that it could be my first win. It was very, very tough, the main British Chess Championship. But yeah, I established a knight on c5, and the game got easier after that, and I managed to win. I was really emotional about that because I had a really, really tough first week. So anyway, queen h3, knight g4. So that it has an emotional attachment getting a knight on c5. I remember that game. It's on the channel if you want to check it out somewhere. Knight on c5 on my channel. Let's see here. Rook h8, queen h3 looks like plausible stuff. Covering h6 here. Let's say queen h3. Does he play a3 and b4? I might move the knight back to b7. Does he break up the pawn chain enough? And if I played queen h3, rook h1, okay, is the queen going to be trapped? I hope not. On the other hand, I don't know what the queen's doing there, so I don't know. I'll put the queen back. I don't want the risk of the queen being trapped. I had a near disaster last week, queen getting trapped. It's one of my. I want to try and eradicate that weakness. If you have awkward pieces, you're just asking for downsides, basically. You're nearly trapped pieces, loose pieces. You're just asking for downsides, either short term or long term. More the pin, I think, long term, but trappable pieces, short to medium term. The queen, you can imagine with G4 and like this and Rook G3, the queen could get trapped. Try and if white plays G4, I'm looking at those dark squares now. Can I play bishop G5 to F4? I just want to go into those dark squares. I have a concern. This is a vulnerability with my rooks over here. This could be attacked later. Now I'm thinking a knight could come to G6 if I played this, or to E5 if he took. That would be a juicy square for a knight. Okay, I'm going to go for that. If he lets me seal down E5 for a knight, F6, and then I have to work in reverse how to get a knight to E5. So F7, how do I get to F7? H6, how do I get to H6? Again, this is tricky. How do I get a knight to E5? That's a mystery in this position. Maybe it's actually impossible here. It might actually be impossible. Yeah. Okay, so my rooks are kind of stuck. So while that's impossible, though, for the moment, I want to at least get my rooks to be able to hold A5. In fact, there's a potentially backward pawn, which this could transition to on A4, AB. There's a backward pawn on B3. Oh, I'm in trouble. I just didn't see that tactical shot. That's a killer shot. That wins a rook. Whoa. King G8 takes. There's too much damage to the position. I'll be losing a knight and losing a knight and a pawn. E takes is just like totally winning. I thought E takes was totally winning. This looks horrible with knight E4 happening. I don't know how I get out of this either, but this is not as bad as losing a piece. I thought it was just an immediate loss. Okay, F5. I think it's been misplayed. If we look at this after, it looked completely crushing. I definitely had a weakness in the last move. When I moved that rook and left that hanging, E5, killer. It looked like killer because of EF. Just taking on to hit the knight, the rook's crashing through it. I think it was all over. Okay. I live another day here at the moment. Okay. So E5 could be a problem. Back to A5. Take on G4. rook g7 and knight f6. If he took on a5, it opens up some lines. If he doesn't, so okay. It gives me that diagonal. I've gone quiet because this is like living another day stuff, which I didn't expect. The king can hopefully walk across. No, I think it was a smashing move. E5, let's have a look. Yeah, this is just total weakness of the last move. I just left this as a loose piece. So e5 is plus 6.40. It says here. So what I played was king g8. Either knight e4 apparently is the strongest for some reason. I threatens knight f6, forking king and queen. And if knight e8, knight takes, he takes. There's a big threat of rook e7 there, which would be mating. I guess. So, you know, for example, rook f8, I think rook e7, and rook e7, and then there's threat of mate. So, if that's the case, there's not much to do here. If king f8, queen g6, there's a threat of rook e7 or something. Let's have a quick look. Or just quick, it's all winning. So I was totally let off because EF is also strong as I thought, because what do I do here? I was just going to give up the knight, but I mean, I don't think this is very attractive. Rook e7. So the let off, this is just a let off. It's back to plus 1.7 now. Okay, so well played, well timed. Just a follow up there. So that was a well timed thematic break. It's just the follow up was slightly missing, yeah. So there's that angle on thematic breaks as well, the follow up. But it was a killer thematic break. Okay. E5. Alright, let's try E3 here. Goggin pull. I'll start with this modest setup. My good friend Alex Eflontis, we had this tournament many years back, and this guy played this setup against both of us and beat both of us. He's Gardner, called Gardner, and we called it the Gardner system. But actually, it seems quite logical to me now. It does look like it keeps an eye on E5. As positional setups go, this looks okay. The Gardner system. It looks as though actually C5 is useful here. It threatens C6, and if takes, I wouldn't mind the exchange of the bishops. That would weaken black's king a bit. C5 does seem as though it's something to do. Okay, it's stopped. Can I play knight e5 here, or is that too weakening? I'll try it. I'll try it. So knight takes and rook d1. Okay. Is CD better? CD, I would force. No, I don't force. There's knight d2. Okay, I'm not entirely sure. What does CD do to knight? Okay, let's imagine CD, ED, knight e4, d takes. Yeah, that diagonal's weaker in that version of events. You can see that diagonal's a bit weaker to black's king. However, CD, knight d2, queen d2. This version of events, on bishop d5 there's knight e4 winning a piece, but this version of events with CD, knight d2, queen d2, I'm not sure I'm getting anything there. So I can force the doubling of pawns here, and maybe that's the thing. Okay. The d6 square looks tempting with rook d6, and then to double. Any rook takes d6, ed could have an exchange of bishops. Oh, crikey. e5 is vulnerable. Alright, if I protect that for a moment. We've got a kind of symmetrical pawn structure here. Alright. Play b4. I'll stop that for a moment. Don't want to be attacked with h3. So, yeah. It looks a little bit passive for me. It does look passive. In fact, okay, so rook d6. Oh, there's always queen d6 here, winning the exchange. That's nasty. Factor that tactic in. Can I play queen takes here just to try and control the d file? I think it's better than rook d2. Queen takes. Now if he goes back to g5, maybe queen d6. Okay. Queen d6. Oh, I lose the bishop if I took. Okay, but if I took the rook. Alright, I'll take that and bishop c3 here. Now bishop b4 to d6 looks interesting. That would hold the e5 pawn. Right, it's with tempo on the rook. I can just about do this because bishop e5, queen. My bishop's protecting the rook. I'm hoping I can do this. Rook d6, queen d6, bishop e5, queen e5, queen e5, bishop e5, rook d1, bishop d1. If I can get in c5 just to stop this recurring tactic happening. c5. Right. I was hoping this tactic doesn't work. Let's check again. Queen takes. I just don't think it works. I can stop this pawn and eliminate it, I think, with bishop d6. I'll pre-move here because it is a check. Oh, hello? I think this picks up h4. I don't need to rush to win h4. I don't need to allow any controversy with losing a pawn over here. And so there's bishop f6 on the way. Makes the game. Okay. Jetzel. Right. Let's try Sicilian defense. So, what am I doing here? Is one question. I'm hoping this is okay, basically, at the moment. Now, I have had an over the board game around here with bishop e7 and g5 later. I made it exciting. It was against the 190 plus ETF. I got a good attack. Well, not. I don't know if it was an attack. But he didn't estimate g5, g4 in this sort of position. I thought it was justified because the centre's kind of closed here. I'll try it here. So some things I can sense intuitively is on g4, knight e1, h5. If he ever plays f3, he weakens that diagonal. So I scramble to castle queenside and use one of the resulting open lines, basically. Maybe queen b6 is not right. Bishop d7, queen c7, castle queenside. Start preparing that now. The problem is, as soon as he kicks in f3, I could be losing a key pawn over here. I need to be ready to seize an open line. So I can't move my queen though at the moment. Okay, I'm under pressure here already. How do I manage this? I'll get ready for the c4 square as well. So I'll protect b7 with the knight. In fact, maybe my king can just stay there. I'll leave my king in the centre at the moment. I'm just thinking a6, b5, knight c4. Any f4. It's going to be tricky, f4. This g file might still be relevant. I'm thinking, okay, c3. If I establish a knight on c4 though, if he took, I get this diagonal, I get a nice square on d5. So let's imagine a6, b5, knight c4, and he took. I get a nice d5 square, probably the diagonal. If he wins h7 here, I'm not sure I want him to win h7, but h6, I'm making f5, fe more effective. This diagonal is compromised. Trade-off between losing that pawn and weakening this diagonal if I move h6. What if I just sacked h6 here? It is an open line. Maybe later it's something. If I played a6, b5, knight c4, that h-file could be handy later. I think I'll do this plan. So b5, knight c4 plan. b5, knight c4, anytime he takes, I get a d5 square, I get a diagonal opened for the bishop, potentially, as an example. So b5, knight c4 plan, offering h7 here. f4 is a concern. Okay, I'm going to try and get this g file, but then f7 is a target. So maybe play on with b5 and knight c4. ft bishop g5 might be plausible. Okay, play on here, knight c4. f6 bishop f8, he's got bishop g5. f6 knight e3. Okay, he's giving me d5 in the diagonal. f6 could win the g pawn. However, g pawn sacrifice along with bishop c6, queen d5 might be compensation. If he takes a pawn with f6 instead of a piece, that means knight e4, there's no knight f6 later. d6 is covered by the bishop on f8. So let's imagine f6, bishop f8, bishop g5, bishop c6. It stops knight e4, and it doesn't actually, but anyway, I don't think that's bad. Queen d5 there, and the knight's pinned to g2. I've also got rook g8 on the cards. The knight's not entirely pinned to g2, but it looks a little bit as if I'm getting some compensation here. King d7 to try and connect the rooks up. Maybe b4 trying to create a passed pawn. a5 b4 trying to create a passed pawn on this side. Might be interesting. a5 b4. There's also rook g4. Where would the knight move? Knight f2, queen g2, knight d2. Rook g4, rook f4. Okay, there's rook g6 for bishop h6. If knight g5, bishop h6. This gives me bishop h6 as a possibility. There is also knight d6 though, as soon as I play bishop h6. What I want to do here is kind of put pressure on both sides, with a passed pawn on this side and g-file and g2 pressure on this side. I don't mind a pawn on d6. Okay, rook e5 I do mind. Rook e5 is very dangerous. Maybe queen g5 here. Try and get connected past pawns if the queens come off. I've got to parry rook e5. The queen's hanging. You know, I think it was an interesting position. Thanks, Jensel. Okay, Jose Bon. Okay. Let's try c4. Magnus Carlsen played this e3 with c4 against MVL Maxim Vachelagrave in, I think it was a rapid time control. It was quite a fun game. because otherwise I'm inviting a reverse French defense. Okay, let's castle. Okay, d5 it is then. Let's try and tempt a weakness, like with f6. Or that diagonal to be slightly softened with f6. Pawns don't go backwards. So knight d5 here, I avoid an isolated queen's pawn. Knight e5 here, f6. Knight c4. Just nonsense. I'm just looking at nonsense there. I think queen d2 is a sensible move. Let's say bishop g4, he puts pressure on d4. Rook f d1. I could still look forward to bishop h6 there. Maybe queen d2 is plausible. Bishop g4, rook d1 for bishop h6. No, he's going to pile on the pressure on d4 here. This could be pretty unfortunate, and he's playing this very quickly as well. This could be unfortunate. Okay. Oh, yeah, it's to sack that d-pawn. The d5 pawn's behind it. So let's say knight d4, bishop g7, knight f3, bishop f3. I'm looking forward to d5 behind that if he does win d4. Okay, that's intriguing. He's going to waste the time on bishop g4 if he wanted that. Okay. Maybe b4 coming up. Can I play this to evict the queen later with rook c3? Bishop f1, just to get the bishop out of the firing line. Rook c3 to try and evict the queen. b4 might have... bishop e4. I'll do b4. Maybe rook c5. Pressure on d5. Rook c5. Rook c5, yeah. Alright, here, what about knight g5 here? Just to avoid double pawns. f3 might actually be a threat. With rook d5 to win that centre pawn. Okay, f3. Is it too risky to take this centre pawn off? I can't see it. I'm going to take it. Knight e4, give the pawn back like that, or have double pawns, have double pawns. This is an extra centre pawn, right? Rook c5, d5. Okay, he's now on f3. So if I played queen d3 here, there's rook e3. Queen f2, there might be rook e3. Alright, so queen, what about f4? f4, and then there's rook e5. Gives support for rook e5. Right, so rook e5 here. I have queen f4, queen e3. If rook e5, well, isn't there queen e4? Alright. Isn't there rook takes here with that pin? If rook g3, I take, my rook's protecting the queen. Rook takes, it can't take back. He's got queen g5, check. Bishop g2, he takes back queen g5, bishop b7. So overall, I think it's still a good idea. A bit short on time here. I'll just try pushing this pawn. The pawn is natural candidate here, supported already by the rook. Bishop's ready to unblockade. The knight on d7. Take this guy off. Bishop c4, that's good. Coordinating two pieces. I'll drive my king up over here. There's no f-pawn push to worry about. So check, king g3. Actually, there's no rook b3 there anyway. Let's take here now. And then king g2. Protect. No, I think I need to drive my king up to f6. Okay, pre-move time as well. This bishop g8 would be mating if I let h2 go here. Bishop g8 looks as though it's mating, nearly. Oh, there's, you can take the pawn here. This position looks very dangerous with rook h7. My king's cutting off a key escape square. Alright, thanks for the game, Jose. Very interesting. Graph, hi there. Okay. So we've got a pretty standard looking position here. I'll go early e4 break. I don't remember that. What's this? This looks unusual all of a sudden. Why is it looking unusual? Can I take on d5? Is that winning a pawn or something? An unusual amount of pawn tension so early on, with both sides not castled yet. Okay, strange position. I don't mind this. He's given me f5 on a plate, the way he's played it. Okay, not so easy. Bishop f5 though. Maybe bishop f5 instead of bishop e2 is more to the point. Here. Bishop e2 is a little bit timid. If I want to really play with f5, why not get rid of the bishop? Okay, dart squares weakened a bit. Bishop g5. Knight e4, bishop e7, there's d6. Looks like a crushing tactic. Knight d7, knight takes d6. Let's have a look at this again. Knight takes e4, d takes e7. Looks like a crushing tactic. Just to review a few variations again. Okay. Bishop e7, d6, knight takes, d takes, hits the queen and rook. Knight e4, knight d7, knight takes d6, wins the bishop. Knight takes, bishop takes, wins the queen. I don't know what black does. In fact, there's also knight f5 check to win the queen in that line as well. If you imagine the queen there, knight f5 check is winning the queen after takes, queen takes d6. So d6, yeah, it looks as though looks like carnage, this position. This configuration looks like carnage. Bishop e7, d6, knight e4, d takes. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong here. I didn't see that. h3, would that tip black? That's h6. Could be wrong. There's another possibility. Knight b5 for queen d4. He's threatening bishop takes h2 check as well. h3 might be a logical move. h6, bishop h4, g5. In which case there is knight f5 check. So let's keep at it with this. h6, bishop h4, g5, knight f5 check. I'll be looking forward to taking on d6 with this fork. Bishop, I need to calculate now. Okay. So g5, knight f5 check. Bishop h2, king h1, knight bishop f6. Okay, g5, knight f5 check. g5, really, g5. The cost does seem f5 of g5. So knight f5 and the knight takes d6. Or anything stronger. Knight takes. If queen takes, there's knight f5 winning the queen. If he does g takes, I think this is strong. Because g takes, I can take the knight. Yeah. There's no queen d6 here because of knight f5. Yeah, thanks for the game, Graph. Von Palen, thanks. Yeah, interesting. Okay, Azul missed. Okay. Good. Really annoying variation. Very good. What about if I took with the queen here, knight takes, queen e4 check. Knight d2, bishop. Knight e2, queen takes c4. So if I take with the queen instead of knight takes, it means knight takes, queen e4. If queen e2, knight f6, e5, knight g4. It could just castle. What else here? Knight d4, knight e5. Let's do a basic principle of castling. Forget the complications for a moment. Basic principle for a moment, because I can't see that far. So sometimes just castling is okay. Yeah, avoid backfires quite often if your king's not in the center. All right, now d6 looks like a reasonable move. So knight e5, bishop e2, or knight takes, knight c6. Let's try this. I'm wondering f5, f4, knight g4. So bishop e2, f5. Because I've got the little pawn center. If I unpin f4, if I played c5 instead, knight b5 is on d6. There's c4 there. Hang on. c4, bishop a4, a6, knight d6, b5 wins a piece. If knight f3, knight c6, I'm really weakening that d5. Hang on, knight f3, there's bishop g4 concretely. So it looks as though c5 might actually be a move. I'll try it. The problem with the bishop here is not helping f3. If he plays knight f3, bishop g4. If he plays knight b5, a6, knight d6, sorry, c4, bishop a4, a6, knight d6, b5, traps the bishop. Look at b5 here, knight b5, queen, okay, that's not. f4, knight g4, he's got f5 to follow. g5, is that such a dumb idea here? g4 runs into f4, but there might be knight g6. Okay, takes knight f4 is marking d5 quite well. c4, what about just c4 while the knight's on e5, which means there's a boost to a6 here, just threatening b5. If f4, there's also queen b6 and knight g4 for knight f2. Let's say f4 here, c takes, f takes. Now f4 here, check. King moves, knight g4. If bishop a4, a6, yeah, I think this is effective. It's opening up this diagonal potentially for queen b6. Check now. Yeah, f4 carries with it a major downside. This check, knight g4. Well, I thought it did anyway. Okay, I'm winning a pawn. If I took, takes, win a pawn. I'm not winning a pawn. Okay, so I got absolutely nothing from all that. Yeah, that was a waste of calculations. Yeah, okay, I got absolutely nothing. That's brilliant. Okay. Are you telling me I got absolutely nothing from all of that? That's just great. That's just great. Wonderful. Yeah. Okay. Maybe a5 here is okay. For a4, if a4, maybe I consider doubling the pawns. If he took away from there, knight c6 to d4 is stronger than before. If there's nothing to kick the knight, so that seems to be a plan, to take and then knight c6 to d4. All right, is that really the only plan now? Worth thinking about. Always knight c4 is be forking these pawns. I'll go with that. Knight c4, b5 there. Alright, knight c4 does fault the pawns. Rook d8 for knight f3. Okay, king g7 now, rook a7. Rook a7 here. Let's say he tries to fault the pawns. I'm thinking king g7. He takes a pawn, there's knight f5, almost trapping a rook. a-file is going to be handy to me tactically. So I'm wondering knight f5 when he's not looking. He's going to try and win this pawn. Knight c4 wins that pawn. So let's say b5, knight e5, knight f5. The rook moves across here. Okay, I'll play b5 anyway, because maybe knight e5, rook e7. And I'm getting short on time here. Yeah, I can't trap the rook, because the rook's always got this rank. But I can get my pawn back, surely. Okay. The pawns are doubled, I'm on b4. I should be happy here. Alright. Unpin with king g6 and f6. Which means this guy, rook c4, get a pair of rooks off. I think time's of the essence here. Pre-move time. want f5 without getting mated. Rook e2, try staircase mating thing. Alright, rook f2, rook h4. Alright, okay, thanks for the game, Zoomist. That was really challenging. A bear called Pennington. I watched Pennington 2 the other day. It's quite good. On Amazon. You can either rent or buy. Actually, we bought it. Sorry, that's something to own up to on the stream. I didn't say that. Just forget I said that. I never bought Pennington 2. Never. I deny it. Sorry, I it's quite good, actually. It's quite good. It's quite amusing. Oh, what have I just said? These things come to mind without any filter. Alright, it's quite good. It's got a good IMDb rating. If you looked up the IMDb rating of Pennington 2, it's good. I assure you. Jumanji was good last night. Rented that. That was a good one for rent, at least. Jumanji, much better than expected. That's available on Amazon as well. So what's happening here? What's happening? I'm gonna have to have bought this. King Murderer. So I'll play this mega exciting E3 move. Sorry, I don't know why I'm so boring today with E3. I just think beat it. You know, just beat it. I'm going to start with this solid position. What can you do? No, you can do that. Okay. If I play h3, is he really going to give me the light square bishop just like that? Nope. I'll play knight c4 to try and provoke e4 as a kind of reverse French defense. So e4, knight fd2. If I play d takes here, seems a bit weakening b5. I'm surprised by that. While my knights put pressure on e5, this seems a bit dangerous, doesn't it, for black? Let's calculate a bit. Okay, no, just give me that pawn. Bishop takes, there's no pin. On knight e5 I go into a pin of sorts. Bishop e5 avoids the pin situation. Queen d1, bishop d1 if I want to hold c2. Let's say knight e5. He has the pin. Let's say a knight move to d5. There's knight c6. It's a little bit fragile. I think I'll play bishop e5. Don't want to go into a self-pin. So queen d1, let's say rook d1, bishop c2, and is actually winning b3. So might actually have to play bishop d1 to protect c2 here. Inconvenience. However, with knight d4 to follow at some point, bishop moves knight d4, I'll be protecting c2 and hitting f5. What does he want to do here? What does he want to do? Okay, I'll take... I'm on c7 here as well. This rook's a bit dangerous as well. How about rook c1, getting the rook out the firing line? Protecting c2. Double defensive move against the rook being a liability. So rook c1. Bishop a1 to keep the bishop protected on a1. Knight d4. That sort of thing. So rook c1, bishop a1, knight d4. Alright, so rook c1 protects c2. I can now play bishop e2, hitting b5 without losing c2. I can consider bc or b4. I'll do this and play bishop d4 here, I think, which hits a7. Alright, I can take in a knight d4 now, which is what I wanted earlier, to hit f5. Right, I can play bishop f3 now, which looks good, or I can damage the pawns first, which looks good. I think I'll damage the pawns. Visually, I know it might not be concretely something to write home about, but okay, intuitively, it looks as though that might be a problem later. The knight on c3 is a real pain. Can I do this? If knight takes rook a1, if he doesn't do anything, a5, a6, bishop b7, rook a1, rook a3. I'll go around this knight. The knight's covering two key squares. I'll go around the knight. Rook a2, rook a1. Okay, I can play for bishop b7. Oh, there's knight e2 check winning in exchange. And takes rook a1. Maybe I'll go with that. Alright, king g3 to f4. H4 or rook a1. I think rook a1. Go with rook a1 here. Rook c. I'm trying to make this a real problem, this f5, with my king, if nothing else. I've got mobile pawns. That's my advantage here. Yeah, no, I think the problem with f5 wasn't just prettiness, is that my king's going to come up, I'm going to get mobile pawns. Like, that knight was good though for a while. It looked as though there were big technical problems there, but okay, I thought intuitively the damage looked bad on the king side. Okay, from earlier. But yeah, you have to use the king to sometimes prove anything there. Okay. So bishop e7, knight e7. If I play b5 for bishop b7, knight c5 looks good. So e5 to factor in e5. What if for the moment I just castle? Rook c8. There's knight b6 to c4 as well to think about. Should I use that one? I think I'll use this one. Keep this one flexible for these two squares. Knight b6 to c4 hits b2. Might be the way to play it. That c file is a bit vulnerable. With b2, if I ever took on b2, c3 drops. Or a3, c3 drops. You know, knight c4 takes queen c3 after. e5, d takes, f takes. He's on my bishop. That is a problem. Okay, it's not major here. Knight b2, queen b2, queen c3. I lost against Leela 0 with seemingly this position with white. It just seems to be losing basically if there's pressure like that on the c file. I just felt helpless, so I'm trying to give what I got from Leela 0 recently. Playing the Sicilian just with b2 collapsing, with c3 collapsing. Alright, so bishop f3 here, ef. This is a tactical shot. Bishop d1, f takes. Am I losing material there? Is it safer to play knight d5? I'm going to check this out. Knight d5 also might be useful anyway. Let's check this out. There's also this. Okay, there's 3. If I use 40 seconds here or something. D takes, bishop takes, e takes. Okay, so d takes, forget bishop takes. Let's look at f takes. There is knight d5 simply. On rook takes, forget that. Bishop takes, whatever. Rook a3. Actually, d takes looks like a tasty option. Knight e2, bishop f3, knight c3, bishop d1. Yeah, d takes looks like a tasty option. Yeah. So f takes, I'm thinking knight d5. Okay. Right, there is bishop c5 here, or rook c2, or rook a3. I think rook c2 is okay. Okay, can I protect this pawn? I don't want to lose my pawns. It's not as good as I imagined, actually. Rook b6. I'm not getting back row mated just yet. Rook b6. Let's imagine rook c1 trying for a back row mate. Rook takes, rook takes, rook takes. Check, bishop f8, bishop d6. Maybe h5 there. Rook f8, king h7. Let's look at this again. Okay, he's playing it. I can insert bishop c5 check if that helps. Probably not. There's no bishop d6 there. I've just realised that's a miscalculation. There's no bishop d6. Because my rook is covering that. Bishop d6 will just take with the rook. Alright, so knight d5 stops bishop b4 as well. If he wants to use this pin. So I need to move. There's knight e7 with tempo gain. And then knight g6. Yeah, knight e7. So knight c6 here, actually. Influx. No time for bishop c5. Alright, thanks for the game. Okay, yeah. Okay, I hope you got something from this week. Yeah, one fun, 10 boring. I think it's time to stop now. 1 o'clock. Okay, I got lucky this week, especially in that there was one key game. I think it was all over with the e5 break. On M, well played. Close miss. Nearly there. See you next week then. Okay. And if you want to challenge me, remember, early birds catch the worm. So 20 to 30 minutes before this thing starts, send off the challenge. Premium membership, use the voucher code Kingscrusher, 15% off. Okay, see you next week. Thanks very much.